Chicago's mayor and police superintendent say they're furious that actor Jussie Smollett is no longer facing criminal charges. Prosecutors dropped all 16 felony counts yesterday with little explanation.
Smollett is accused of faking a racist, homophobic beating, allegedly because he was unhappy about his pay on the show Empire. He denies that.
I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I've been accused of.
Our own Adriana Diaz asked the lead prosecutor why they dropped the charges.
You believe that he is innocent?
I do not believe he's innocent.
So you believe he's guilty?
Yes.
So why drop the charges?
Our priority is violent crimes and the drivers of violence. Jussie Smollett is neither one of those.
Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel called the decision a whitewash of justice.
CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman is with us. Rikki, this is so hard to understand. So if prosecutors think that he's guilty, why drop the charges? And by the way, why not inform the police superintendent or the mayor ahead of time?
Well, there's a mouthful in that question. Number one is this is totally not typical. They have tried to put it off to the public as this being the usual course of business for a nonviolent first-time offender. Oh, do 2 days of community service, forfeit your bond, $10,000, you're just like everybody else. This is an example of justice for the rich and powerful versus justice for the poor. I don't see it as any different from the rich people who got their kids into college by untoward means because they had money and power, and what you have here. Yes, they could have come to an agreement, the defense lawyer and the prosecutor, to do something like what we call continued without a finding or an adjournment in contemplation of dismissal. These are legal terms where you get 6 months to be able to be on good behavior. And you would pay much more money. You would think that you would have restitution here. You would admit guilt. You would do an apology to the entire city of Chicago. None of that happened here. And how does it get worse? I'm sorry, John, I can't help it.
Go.
How does it get worse? Who gets out there first? The defendant and his lawyer get out there first. He gets to proclaim his innocence. So we all think, or at least the lawyer in me thinks, well, what was wrong with the case? Right. Was there something wrong with the brothers? Did they go arrest the brothers if he is then telling the truth? And it's only hours later that the prosecutor corrects this.
And also, Rikki, prosecutors and police have to work together on all kinds of other cases. Doesn't this create some bad blood for all those other cases because of what you just described?
There is no doubt about that. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Superintendent Eddie Johnson, Mayor Rahm Emanuel, where are they? They're at a police graduation. They have new recruits coming into the department. They are then informed of this decision. If you are a prosecutor dealing with someone who has cost the city all of these resources, all of these man-hours, and you have known that this is a crime of lying to the police, who are the people you would notify first before you did such an amazing act as this one? You would notify the police that this is what you intend to do. You would have the police come to a press conference with you. And in this case, lest we forget, the FBI was also looking at this case. I'm sure they weren't notified either.
And these were charges brought on by a grand jury, mind you.
Well, how would you feel if you were a member of that grand jury? You heard all of this evidence. You returned an indictment for 16 counts. How do jurors feel in the future about their word being disregarded? This is not the typical nonviolent first-time offender. This is a person who, according to this prosecutor, we just heard him, is guilty, was not the victim of a hate crime, who took a look at what happens in the city of Chicago that is roiled by race. And what he does is he casts himself in the role of a victim, turns the city inside out, and then it turns out that he's lying. When Mayor Emanuel says this is a whitewash, when Eddie Johnson and Mayor Emanuel come forward and talk about has he no shame, I want to just add one thing while I'm on this roll. This is a person who started this. If he is guilty, and we know that the prosecutor says he's guilty, because he wanted publicity. What do we wind up with? No transparency, no public forum, something that is done quickly and quietly in an emergency and not have a trial where they wanted a camera in court to clear his name.
And the case is sealed per the defense's request. So many questions. Rikki, I know we are all exercised and curious about this, but